It was suggested that I do this series, and at first I was like, yeah, no. And then I thought, why not? Definitely not something that I would normally include on my channel, although it's not the first time I've ever done this sort of thing. But anyway, as I'm sure you know, I read a lot. I read often. Um, and it's one of my coping strategies for having avoidant personality disorder. Um, and usually each year, I try to do some sort of reading challenge, which is, read a book about X, Y, or Z type thing. Um, so I have a challenge that I'm doing currently for 2023 of 52 different prompts. And I've read my first one. The first book of the year that I've read is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. My prompt is set in a war that is neither World War I or World War II. Blood Meridian was set during the Spanish-American War, and it's it took me a few times to read that book. I've tried before, and I guess that's common because it is an intense book. Um, it's a good book, but would I recommend it in limited, um, you know, yes, but um, it is an uber violent book. It truly is. Ooh, I can't shadows. Because what it basically is people who made their living by. I mean, the description is disgusting, but clearing out Texas. In other words, it's a genocide of the native peoples in order, because the U.S. got Texas and they're trying to take it over and inhabit it. It's vile. It's absolutely horrible. Um, it does not shy away from the reality of what actually happened to people, what they did, how they lived. And I mean, the thing is that the writing would pull you out of it because there are certain places where every sentence could, if another person was writing it, would be an entire chapter, at least a paragraph. And it's so spare and so precise and so evocative. It's amazing writing. Um, but it's really pretty disgusting. Um, Super violent, straight up to the end. And in this book, especially, it's like the textbook definition of a brave author for two reasons. One, he never pulled his punches. He never shied away from it. He wasn't gratuitous, but he definitely, he wasn't shy about describing exactly what people were going through in every way, shape, or form. People that were dying of thirst, literally, and what their bodies went through, the things that were done, um, the trophies that were kept to prove that they had um, cleared out an area. I mean, I'm saying all this in really awful sort of metaphors, but this is the thing: he never did. He would never do that. He said exactly what was going on. There's bravery number one. Bravery number two is he still didn't. How should I put this? He gave space for the reader to fill in details often. Um, like for instance, the final scene was just a couple of words, a couple of sentences maybe. It did not go into detail. I mean, you had to really pay attention and infer what actually happened. Um, like for example, the end of, if you saw it, the end of The Sopranos. It's like, wait, what? It's kind of like that, but the entire book was written like that, where, um, I mean, there wasn't basically an omniscient narrator who was telling you exactly what happened and how to feel about it. It forced readers to interact with a book, which is partially why the violence is so disturbing, because people are like, oh, you like horror, you go to this, that, and the other. But it's cartoonish and it's not really in your face. The other book he wrote was The Road. Is a phenomenal book. I've read it like 3 or 4 times, and it is disgusting. It's not anywhere near as bad in a way, in a big way, as Blood Meridian, because Blood Meridian, I mean, it's all violence and it does not stop. It's just constant. The Road, there is very, you know, soul wrenching violence, but it's sparing, because people are trying to avoid it, as opposed to Blood Meridian. They're trying actively to enact it on each other. And I mean, it's a war. It really is. It's not the war that you would read about in any history books. I mean, it's something like maybe a footnote, because nobody wants to think about these types of things. So it was extremely well written, important story, disgusting. And I mean, I would recommend it if you're in a good headspace. I would recommend it if you want to be a writer, because it will teach you things about how to write without overstating everything and not over explaining everything. Is great. It's absolutely fantastic. You could pull out individual paragraphs and like study it for weeks, maybe months, to see exactly how it was constructed. I mean, it really is very brilliant writing, but it is really gross. And you know, it'll cut you right down, and it'll make you wonder if humanity should be saved. And I know that sounds like really outrageous, but really it's like, oh, these are the good guys, and the good guys are doing this, and they're doing this to each other, and they're backstabbing each other, like actually literally. Yikes. But that was my book number 1 for the year. And if I keep this up, there'll be 52 videos. Maybe more. Who knows? Maybe I'll read even more than that. I doubt I'll make a video about every single book I read this year, because I read a lot. But you never know. Anyway.